Hi guys, so I'm back in the UK, yay! As you can see, guys, I was in the US for only 2 weeks, but guys, I did a bit of digging and a bit of research, and today I'm going to give you my honest opinion about what I think. See, most of the things that we've heard about the US, those guys are exaggerating. They're exaggerating, honestly. So if you want a detailed, stay tuned. Stop that. It's actually very unfair to compare the UK and the US because the UK is such a small baby compared to the US, honestly. So you know the US has 50 states, right? About 5 of those states are bigger than the UK in total. And when I say they're bigger than the UK, I don't mean they're bigger than London. I don't mean they're bigger than England. These states I'm about to mention are bigger than the UK, with England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland all combined. Alaska is much bigger than the UK, so much bigger than the UK. Texas actually is 2.8 times bigger than the whole of UK, with Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales all combined. Oregon, Montana, New Mexico, these states alone are bigger than the whole of UK. So it will be fair to compare the UK to estates in the US, but it's not fair to compare the UK to the whole of the US. It's just not fair. It won't fit. I mean, I'm not comparing the UK to, let's say, Texas alone, and I'm not comparing the UK to, I'm comparing it to what I noticed and what I realized and what I found out after being there for 2 weeks based on the things I've heard. And I'm just comparing the UK to the US in total. So like, it's not going to be fair, okay? This is just my opinion. And who am I, by the way? I am just some next YouTuber from Ghana, but currently practicing in the UK. My opinion does not matter in these things, but if you want to know, this is it. So when you check online, they actually say that the UK is 40 times smaller than the US. I mean, in other words, the US is 40 times bigger than the UK. 40 times bigger, in my opinion, means over 40 times more opportunities, means over 40 times more benefits, means over 40 times more crime, over 40 times more everything else. You understand? So honestly, in my opinion, if you are on any kind of visa in the UK, that allows you to get permanent residency, okay? Or that allows you to get your British passport after a couple of years. Let's say you're on a tier 2 or a skilled worker visa or a health and care worker visa as a nurse, a doctor, IT personnel. And then you have, let's say, 5 or 6 years to get your permanent residency, or there's a route to permanent residency, right? On the visa category that you're on. And currently you're hearing so many things about the US being very good. You're contemplating you want to go, but you're not really sure. Honestly, if you have 1 year or 2 years to getting your permanent residency in the UK or your British passport, I honestly think don't go to the US, okay? See, as migrants, we begin to enjoy the UK better once we get the ILR or once you get your British citizenship, okay? So if you're 1 year or 2 years to that, I honestly don't think you should let it all go. See, you've been here for 4 years or you've been here for 3 years, you've paid your taxes, you've paid your NI, you've lived here painfully without enjoying any benefits, and it's time for you to reap your benefits you live in. And I honestly think that life in the UK gets much better once you get your ILR or once you get your British passport. For most of healthcare professionals like nurses and doctors, the process that takes you to migrate to the US, once you start, can actually take you up to 2 years. Remember my friend Joycel, I just recently interviewed her. It took her about 1.5 years with all the whole application process and the whole exam process to write her NCLEX to get to the US, okay? So especially for the nurses, with all the nurses that I spoke to, okay, I realized that the average that they're bringing home after taxes in a month, you know, they're paid every week, but in a month, after 4 weeks, they are bringing home around 5,500 to 6,000, okay? I know that's quite a lot of money, but guys, the bills in that country, do not be deceived, the bills in that country is quite a lot. I know that, once again, it depends on the state, but averagely, the bills in that country, it's a bit more than what we pay here in the UK, whether you're in London or wherever. And these people that are making 5,500 to 6,000, it's them working their contract hours without overtime, okay? So if you're like me, and due to childcare, you might not be able to do lots of overtime. Even if you should move to the US, you'll be making home around 5,500 or 6,000 in a month, okay? However, if you consider the bills that they are paying and how expensive things are, I mean, I did a grocery shopping video, you can check it out. I honestly think that if you're due to get your ILR, or once you get your ILR, when you can enjoy all these benefits and you can actually start a business in the UK and you can actually do as many jobs as you want in the UK with less expenses compared to the US, I honestly think being here is okay. Nothing beats the peace and tranquility in the UK. At the end of the day, the US nurse who's only doing his or her contracted hours and the UK nurse who's only doing their contracted hours, the US nurse is likely to have about $1,800 left after paying their bills. However, over here, what I'm trying to say is that once you have your British passport and you can do as many agency shifts as you want, and you can start your own business, side hustle, and get extra income, honestly, you're almost the same. Especially for those that know that when they go there, they are not going to be able to do overtime. When it comes to US nurses making money, the crazy figures or the crazy amounts that you see are nurses in California, like nurses to riches Jason and the wife Monica, and then those that also make lots of money are those that are willing to kill themselves and do loads of overtime, or those that are willing to do travel nursing. Those are when you hear the crazy figures, like people making $30,000 in a month, people making $20,000 in a week and all that. Those crazy figures, there's a price to pay. So bringing the same here, if you are a nurse or a doctor here and you have your British passport and you can pick as much locum, I think compared to the bills here, it's almost the same. I don't know if you're getting what I mean. Another thing is that, for instance, if you're a nurse, okay, in the US, lots of nurses are getting, like Joyce mentioned that she's getting like $90,000 in a year, right? So the $90,000 in a year is equivalent to about $72,662. Do you think there's no nurse in this UK making that amount of money? There is a nurse making this amount of money. Let me show you the NHS pay scale, okay? So when you check the NHS pay scale for 2023-2024, if you look at band 8D, you're actually making £96,376 in a year, and this is their base. This does not come with overtime. This does not come with agency that they'll be doing or locums that they'll be doing somewhere. Okay, you can actually make as much as a US nurse as you rise up the band in the UK. That is why if you're in a care home, you have to advise yourself. Anyway, if you want to rise up to be a care home manager, some people are also making around $50,000 a year, $54,000 a year. I saw this. Your aim as you get to permanent residency is to rise up the band if you're in the NHS, or is to get a managerial position in a care home, and then you can be making close to or almost the same as a nurse making in the US. Meanwhile, you are in a safer country. Meanwhile, you are enjoying free healthcare. Meanwhile, you are paying less expenses. So that's why I'm saying that if you are close to ILR, close to permanent residency, that's the finish line. Okay, so do not rush. Do not let these figures you're hearing in the US bother you so much. However, if you are close and then you still want to try, please wait till after you get your passport and not your ILR. Because the ILR, even though they say it's indefinite leave to remain, it's actually not indefinite. If you do not stay in the UK for a while after receiving your ILR, you could lose it, okay? So you wait till you get your ILR, 12 months after that, apply for your British passport, and then you can go and explore. Especially for people that have older kids and, you know, they know that childcare is not going to be a bother to them and they just want to try the American system. You can actually go if you don't like it, and then you come back, okay? Again, okay, let's say you've been here for a year or 2 years and your partner or your spouse is not getting a job in the UK. Like I said, the US is 40 times bigger than the UK. So that means there are 40 times more job opportunities. So if your partner is struggling to get a job here and the person is not willing to go back to school, you're going to get a job in the US. For that, I'm sure. When I went, I met so many people. I know this guy from Ghana who went there, did this short course online, and is now making big money, you know, enough to sustain him. And it's not like he had to go to school from the scratch. Meanwhile, I tell you, if he was in UK, he would have struggled. I know what I'm talking about. He would have struggled to get a job in that sector because he didn't have his undergraduate here. One of my friends also who came to visit, right? She's doing a work from home job that is making her $55,000 a year. And the job is not really like difficult. Like the whole time she was with me, she was working. Meanwhile, we're like having fun and all. Like all she needed was her laptop, okay? What she does is book flights for the company that she works for, like the employees when they are traveling, blah, blah, blah. And she's making $55,000 a year, earning more than what I earn as a nurse, okay? And that is even working from home, and it's not really a difficult job. And for people who have family in the US that can help them with childcare, you're sure of this, that they can help you with childcare, and you're not so close to ILR, I think you can also give that a chance. But if you are yet to come, maybe you are back home in Nigeria, you're back home in Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, wherever, and then you're yet to move, okay? Let's say you're a nurse, you're a doctor, and you're contemplating UK or US. Honestly, I think you should go to the US. Do not waste your time to come to the UK, because first of all, listen, with the US, you're likely going to get the EB3 visa that gives you permanent residency. Nurses get it, doctors get it. I don't know about the other professions, but it's very, very likely you're going to get the permanent residency from day one. And once you get it from day one, you are entitled to all these things. And there are not many restrictions on the US visa, employment-based visas. Over here, when you come, they say you can't work more than 20 hours on a different employer. You cannot do another, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. There's so many restrictions. By the time you are 5 years, if you don't take care, you'd have only saved £1,000. Yes. And the sad part is the amount of money that you have to pay before you get that permanent residence. If you're a large family, it's not worth it. You would have used every single amount of money that you earned here. I was speaking to a nurse who came to do agency at my workplace, and then I think she has about 3 kids, right? And her husband, right? And they now have their British passport. And she said when it was time for her to apply for her ILR for herself and her kids, do you know who loaned her money? Because they were talking about over 10,000, because there are like 5 people in the family, and every person is going to pay like over £2,000. Do you think she could have saved that much with this childcare that she had all those years that she was here? She couldn't have. So do you know who loaned her money? Her cousin, who's a nurse in the US, who's also a Filipino like her. And the cousin was like, I told you to come here, you didn't come, now you're asking me for money. And when she said it, like I felt her pain. And now the cousin has given her a payment plan. So she's paying the cousin like, every month. And I'm like, you see how the UK is unfair? There's nothing like that in the US, okay? You don't have to wait for 5 years to get permanent residence where you pay this huge amount of money. So you get the benefits from day one. So that's why I'm saying that if you are close to getting ILR, now you're about to enjoy all the benefits, and you probably started saving for the ILR soon and start enjoying. But if you are yet to come, I think you should go to the US. You see, there are nurses here that want to start, let's say, a car business. Let's say you want to import cars to your country and sell. But you can't do that with these restrictions on our visa. But if you go to the US, nobody bloody cares. You can do whatever you want. You can even decide to work part-time as a waitress or whatever you want, or work part-time in a strip club. Do whatever you want, and it's not attached to your visa. You see, that is the beauty of it. One thing that I also have to make clear is the safety or security issue. See, there are some states in the US that are as safe as the UK. Maine is safe, Massachusetts is safe, New Jersey is safe, Connecticut is safe. So you can actually do your research and move to any of these safe states, okay? Honestly, when I went to the US, the few weeks that I was there, with what I heard on the news and everything, I was like, is that an exaggeration? Because it doesn't feel like that. Nothing shows. But I remembered one thing. There was a time that my friend called me from England, and they're like, are you okay? I just watched the news. They said there's this route going on in Northern Ireland. It's all over the news. It's really scary. I hope you are fine. Don't go out today if you are not. I was like, what? I had not heard it. People in my comment section on YouTube that week, and they're like, you safe? We've heard what's going on in Northern Ireland. And guys, I had no clue. Even at work, people did not know what was going on at work. Like, the news, they made the thing look so bigger than it was. They made it look like we were all in danger. They said this is the most serious, whatever, in the past 10 decades, this is the most. So I feel like, in a way, that's what happens in the US sometimes. But I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It does happen. But there are actually some very, very safe states that you can actually move to and not be bothered about these much. Okay. There's crime everywhere, right? And when I did a video about UK versus USA with Joyce Sell, a lady commented that I've lived in the US for 31 years. I've never seen a gun. I've never heard a gunshot and all that. 31 good years. She's never seen any of that. Okay. And then you ask yourself, where in the US does she live in? So that's what you have to ask yourself. I asked her, and then she said she was in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm like, oh, okay. So there are places that are actually very safe. Another thing is that if you have a child who is, let's say, 20 years or 19 years, you know that in the UK rules, once you're coming on a skilled worker visa, your dependents could only be your spouse or your children under the age of 18. So you might not be able to bring your child. Meanwhile, maybe your child is sick and is dependent on you. Consider the US as well, okay? Because the US, you can actually bring your spouse and your children under 21 years as your dependents and move with them. If you're in that category as well, I think you should consider the US. Back to the security, I mean, they say that it's 40 times bigger than the UK, right? So expect 40 times more crime. UK, I know we complain about the NHS and then, shortage of staff, blah, blah, blah. But if you critically look at it, like I said, if you're a nurse and you can rise up the ranks, it's very good. I mean, look, Band 9 is earning, I know that not everybody can get to Band 9, but Band 9 is earning £114,949 in a year. Band 7 is earning £45,996 in a year. And this is with UK bills. This in dollars will be over 50,000 or 60,000. And there are actually some states in the US that pay their nurses this amount, okay? And meanwhile, they have a bit more bills. So honestly, like, if you plan your life well here and you do businesses, okay? So talking about businesses, let me chip in something real quick. Let me talk about Skillshare. Okay, so if you're, let's say, approaching permanent residency in the UK and then you don't have any side hustle in mind, you should learn something to supplement what you're earning. Now, And these days, most people are doing something aside. I have an online course, I have my YouTube channel. You know, all these things bring me something extra to supplement what I'm earning from nursing. Okay, you should be doing something. And if you're struggling to figure out what to do, or you have something in mind that you want to do but you don't know how to go about it, I recommend a platform called Skillshare. So what is Skillshare? Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes. On Skillshare, there's a class for you on whatever that you want to do. Okay, Skillshare is the only platform where they'll give you the value, whether you are a beginner on an intermediate level or you're a pro and you just want to top up. Okay, so based on your level of strength, there's a class on it for you. And then there is no advert, so you get the value just like that. So yeah, as I approach permanent residency, I want to start my own business. I want to start selling things online. Okay, so for me, the class I'm currently taking is e-commerce essentials, how to start a successful online business. And I'm taking this class from Tracy Wallace. This class already has over 61,000 students, and I'm taking it at the beginner level, and it's been really helpful, honestly. And it has several projects and resources that would help me in it. Okay, and then at the end of the course, I get to get a certificate. Can you imagine? So this class is really helpful. I'm learning how to choose the right product, and then how to check the market viability of the product, determine the right platform to sell the product, and so many other things, so that when I'm doing it, I know I'm doing it well. So I'm really learning a lot from this class. Guys, there's several other classes on Skillshare, whether it's photography, cooking, YouTube, makeup, whatever it is, there's a class on Skillshare for you. Okay, they'll show you step-by-step guide from beginning to end to make you a pro, so you can start making some cash. Okay, if you're approaching ILR or you're approaching permanent residency and you don't have anything in mind that you want to do, you're a joke. Okay, yes, enjoy it. Now that you can do businesses without any legal issues, learn and do it. Okay, you don't have to work 7 days a week and break your back and not spend time with your family. Most of these things, they are flexible, but they can give you even more money than your nursing job can. Okay, so I recommend Skillshare for you. The good thing is Skillshare is sponsoring today's video, and then the first 1,000 people to use the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial access of Skillshare. So thank you so much, Skillshare, for sponsoring today's video. But the fact that they said the rooms are big, the houses are big, is an exaggeration. It's an exaggeration, guys. Honestly, the rooms that I entered in the various states that I entered, it was okay. I mean, having my own house in the UK, I'm enjoying big rooms. Okay, from the houses that I saw, it's almost the same thing. And I'm talking about houses or rooms in Virginia, Washington, and then Maryland. It's almost the same thing. So those that are enjoying big, massive mansions in the US are those that are in Texas. But then again, those places, there can be hurricanes, so there's very high property taxes and all that. So, you know, it's neither here or there. And let me give you this table: UK, US. Okay, if you have 1 year or 2 years to get your ILR, no need to go. Honestly, you can make money here. Just get a side hustle, get an extra business. Let Skillshare help you. If you are yet to come, or you have family in the US that would help you with childcare, or you have a spouse who is not likely to get a good job here, I think you should go to the US. Remember, there's free healthcare here. When I went, a friend of mine came to visit me, and he's doing so well. He's bought his house. I've interviewed him here before, Hillary, and his wife just recently had a baby. And with all the insurance and everything that he pays for, after they deducted everything, he still had about $16,000 to pay for one birth. And if you're like me that wants to have a lot of kids, you'll be owing a lot in the US. Okay, you know, nothing beats free healthcare. I met this gentleman who left the UK to Australia and moved back, and when I asked him, he says he has health issues that, you know, once in a while get him down, and Australia healthcare is quite expensive, so that's why he moved back, because here it's free. And then, you know, better environment to raise your kids. Raising kids here is far better than the US. All I can say is that honestly, the US is bigger and better. Am I going? Based on the things that I've said, you guys should know where I'm standing. So yes, the UK could be for you, the US could be for you based on these situations. This is my honest opinion, okay? They are all nice, okay? But that's security issue in the US. I mean, sometimes it's an exaggeration, especially for some states. My parents have been there for years, and by God's grace, they are safe. I've never heard them say that the gunshot or whatever. They've been okay. And you also will be okay. The same God that moved you to the UK, that took care of you in the UK, will take care of you when you go to the US. Okay, so people should stop with scaring people with gun violence and gun violence. Some people actually have very strict gun rules. But the money, like I said, after ILR, if you do your side hustle, you can make as much. If you climb up the ladder in nursing, you can make as much. No need to go. If you want to raise kids here in a very relatively, you know, better environments for kids, stay here. You know, pick and choose. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.